Obeisances to all of the devotees who have gathered here today. This is the best of sanghas because it's based on the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming down through our most beloved and empowered Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, to all the great Acharyas who have entrusted us with the duty of disseminating the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the whole world in every language of the world. It's a big task, but we read about devotees who have achieved big things, Hanuman, Srila Prabhupada himself. The great Acharyas have performed miracles, and all of them say it's not by their own power, it's by the power of the Lord. Today we have the distinctive pleasure of hearing from the inimitable Sachinandan Swami, who's an international treasure, probably interplanetary treasure, who's dedicated his life to the pure chanting of the holy name and giving it to as many people as possible. And we're always so deeply touched that he takes his time to come and address our General Assembly of leaders and team members from all over the world who are engaged in the process of distributing books. And Maharaj, we welcome you heartily, and my Sahasra Koti Dandavats at your lotus feet. I'm going to just show very quickly, to give you some orientation, the maps of what's going on. We thought that would be a good place to start, and then I'll just hand it right over to you. Anukul Seva Prabhu will put up the deck, and I'll go through it briefly so you can see it, Maharaj, and see what's happening in the world. We have been on we've joined together for an effort to increase the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, what we're looking for is unlimited increase, but we're doing it incrementally, and we have goals along the way. This is what it's looked like between 2018 and 2021. And our Bhadra goal for 2022 was 43,000 for the globe. And we achieved 45,880 last year in 2022 by the combined effort of the devotees. This is a look by continent. We have also, if you notice at the bottom of the screen, Antarctica has joined. We have 7 continents, therefore, in which this is going on actively. And we'll have a documentary film about Antarctica, but you can see the numbers and how they're spread throughout the world to achieve these goals. Here's where we're going. A couple of years ago, we set our sights on 2026. And following Prabhupada's advice that we should always have fresh challenge so the devotees will want to rise up and meet it. By 2026, we will have the capacity and we will distribute 100,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams worldwide. That means that we should have it in our sights, and to that aim, we're promoting that everyone look towards 2026 as we go through the next few years, and we incrementally increase by the necessary amount to reach 100,000 by 2026. The goal for this year, 2023, is 55,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams, in keeping with our 23% increase. And as we follow this surge, we have introduced this Bhakta, who's in our ashram here at ISV, and he's been quite enthusiastic in representing the devotees. Our motto this year is to join the surge to 100,000, and that means 55,000 this year in 2023. Bhadra Purnima is on September 29th. Here's a really quick look at the world and what's been pledged so far. All the pledges haven't come in, but you can get an idea by just looking briefly. We're going to zip through this. Here's us from New Zealand, Australia. We talked with everyone in Oceania last night and all the pledges that you see here. Fiji. Europe is poised for great increases. We just met with them last week, and everyone's eager to rise up and show the power of the European empire, especially to be the top distributors in the world, beat India. We have Africa, and they're eager to fill in all those blanks you see on the upper left-hand side. North America, pledges are right now at about 6,000. We need 6,864 to keep pace with our 100,000 for 2026. And our added attraction for this marathon is the Get the 34 campaign. These are the 34 verses in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam. And so devotees all over the planet are pledging to memorize chapter 2 of the Srimad Bhagavatam by Bhadra Purnima. That is Divinity and Divine Service. We'll ask the devotees to sit down and recite the whole thing by memory, and there'll be extra credit for doing it forwards and then backwards. To that end, we also have a PDF file that we'll be distributing to the devotees, so they'll have it in hand and they can carry it with them on their phone or in a paper form. There are 83 days to go to September 29th. And Maharaj, we're delighted to have you back here for our Super Sunday presentation. I'm personally just so excited to have your association today, and we hand it over to you to say what you wish to inspire us in this endeavor. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Good.
Yes.
Good. So, very, very nice. I'm addressing all of you here from Villa Vrindavan in Italy, where we have, since 3 days, a really well-visited Shravan and Kirtan festival with kirtans going on up till late in the night. It's very hot. I think it is like in Mayapur, but everyone is in very good spirits, and I will tell them of this Bhadra Purnima because after this phone conversation or this Zoom conference, it is my privilege to go there and lead a kirtan and so on. I was inspired by Shishika Prabhu to talk about an interesting approach. Attitude is everything in our devotional service, and I would like to share some thoughts on this. Perhaps Vaisheshika Prabhu will have more to say on this in coming occasions. So, good. Let us start. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatyade Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada wrote a sentence in the Nectar of Devotion that will stick to our mind when we face this upcoming search program, which I know would give Prabhupada so much happiness. He said, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. To illustrate this, let us consider someone is successful in their efforts to render some service, and as a result he becomes proud. Now we do know that this prideful attitude is contrary to Krishna consciousness, where the devotee thinks, I am an instrument, I am not the doer, I am the moved, I am not the mover. I am dependent, in other words, on Krishna. Let us now consider the devotee who is a failure, but who remains humble in this, and who prays to Krishna for his mercy. He is pleasing Krishna. I'm not saying that we should not be successful, I'm saying we should not be proud. The success can be the cause of our downfall when we don't keep in mind that our attitude is important, because yes, our advancement in Krishna consciousness is dependent on our attitude. Because this is so contrary to the mundane thought, I would like to dwell a little bit more on this subject. Let us say a devotee in his or her life thinks that he is in control and that he is the direct cause of his success and failure. If such a devotee has success, as I said, he will become prideful, his ego inflates, and when he has attained his goal, he will have a sense of complacency. Let us say such a devotee who thinks he is in control of his life is a failure. As a result, he will be disappointed, perhaps dejected, and suffer from a profound inferiority complex when he compares his results to that of others. Now let us switch. Let us say a devotee is connected to Krishna and he gives his best and he is successful in obtaining his goal. Such a devotee would be filled with gratitude, with humility. Oh Krishna, you can do everything. And with an increased notion of faith. You have shown that you can, that you care for your devotees' devotional service and reciprocate. Let us say, however, this devotee who feels Krishna is the doer and is connected to Krishna is failing in what he does. Well, he would accept that and he would keep a sense of optimism. He would have a sense of, in the future it is possible. And he would think, failure is the pillar of success. I think some of us remember this quotation from Srila Prabhupada. So you can see how the attitude is so much deciding the devotee's inner life and also future life. If he has the attitude, everything depends on him and on his own steam, perhaps. When he's successful, his ego inflates. But when the devotee has a surrendered attitude, where he acknowledges Krishna, in times of success he will be more grateful, more humble, and more rooted in faith. Now let us say there is a challenge between the two types of devotees. The one who has the attitude of doing everything on his own. We have a challenge here. When Vaisheshika Prabhu called these numbers, I was first fainting. I mean, I got this email message, 55,000 sets. Woo-hoo-hoo. And next I was thinking, well, but with Krishna's mercy, everything is possible. I was changing my attitude. I was going from everything is dependent on me, and when I fail, then I will go to the hellish planets. As a result, I was going to Krishna is in control. He can distribute. Also, Vaisheshika's next challenge by 2026, we will distribute 100,000 sets. Yes, no problem. If I have this attitude, Krishna is in control. Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. Krishna showed the universal form. Krishna danced on the raised hoods of Kalia, a beautiful dance, and didn't miss a step. So everything is possible for Krishna. But still, we are now seeing before our very eyes a challenge for 55,000. When we are in this attitude, I'm in control, I have to do it, I'm alone here, I'm facing this alone, then perhaps we will become anxious. We will become overwhelmed like I originally or initially became. We might feel so much stress that there is a mountain of toxicity accumulating in our bloodstream. However, when our attitude is that Krishna, you are the one who is in control here, you can make everything possible, we will be totally excited. Wow! Our Lord will show another of his miracles. We will be hopeful. We will be all in this mood. All is possible, or to say, in Prabhupada's famous words, impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary, and we will also, despite of our excitement, despite of our being a little, how do you say this in American English? Jitty. We will still be equiposed. Means we will have Krishna in our mind, and we will feel very, very peaceful and very calm and very, very nice. So this is a little bit on attitude is possible, is everything. There's a very nice shloka which I think you all know, but it's so nice to relish shlokas in the family of devotees, where Krishna himself speaks about this principle that if you have the attitude that Krishna can do everything, everything is possible, because you are surrendered to him, then you will overcome all the obstacles of conditioned soul's life. Let me quote this verse for you. Those who know the verse can sing it along with me in Sanskrit. Matchita sarva durgani matprasara tarishyati atachet tvam ahankaran nashoshyasi vinangshasi. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, verse 58, and the translation reads like this. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. I think today we could also give pleasure to Krishna's ear by saying, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over the challenge of 55,000 steps by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. You will be lost. He continues on. There are many nice verses, but I want to come to the end curve, so to say. My dear devotees, there is something which I really wish to share with you. As Vaisheshika Prabhu knows, we had very, let us say, God-brotherly talks of this. I was part of a great Sankirtan effort over many years. We were distributing in Germany. We had the fortune that we had translated Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam in very quickly into the German language, and we were very fired up about this. At that time, we were reminding each other of a verse of which is well known to all of us from the Gita, which I would like to put in a particular context. The context is pleasing Krishna. My dear devotees, in the spiritual world, there is one service that reigns supreme over all other services because it pleases Krishna the most. This service is when the devotees bring about the meeting of the divine couple. Either they lead Radharani to Krishna, or more often even, they lead Krishna to Radharani. They help to remove all obstacles, to show the way to Krishna, and to tell him about the wonderful qualities of Srimati Radharani that no one else than of the many gopis has than her. And this bringing about the union of Radha and Krishna, Radha with Krishna, is considered the highest service in the spiritual world. Now in this world where we are presently having this Zoom conference, in this world, my dear devotee, the principle of that is also there. The highest service in this world is to bring souls to Krishna. There's this nice verse which I believe many of us know, and if you wish, we can chant it together. Yaidam paramam goyam matbatesh abidasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam evaishyat yasham shaya. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, plural. Pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Explaining the supreme secret can also mean to give the conditioned souls the literature into their hand. Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., etc. No? Because here they will get Prabhupada's clarion call. Wake up, conditioned souls. And this is the spiritual reality you are hankering for. Krishna says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. We have read from the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, verse 68 and 69. So I think when we are talking here today about attitude, if you have this in your mind, I'm pleasing Krishna with this devotional service, then there is a great, let us say, great spiritual foundation for what you do. And this spiritual foundation will begin to inform the lines which you speak, the way you deal with the conditioned souls when you present to them Srila Prabhupada's book. This attitude will also inform how you feel as you, in Krishna consciousness, as you engage in this activity. So please know, in this wonderful attempt, it's more than an attempt, it's a search. In this wonderful search, there is only one person, Krishna, who is to be satisfied. And by satisfying Krishna, by having this attitude, this devotional attitude, I want to do this for Krishna's pleasure, for Guru's pleasure. You will be very enlivened in your Krishna consciousness, and you will absolutely be a success. With this, I want to end. I have still a few minutes before I have to run, and I'm very interested what our Vaisheshika Prabhu will share with us. Possibly a video from Antarctica, which will give a cooling feeling to us here in Italy.
Maharaj, as you were speaking, I was thinking of the verse Dadati Pratigrinati Guyamakati Prachiti, and that the loving exchanges between devotees, which are our mainstay, which keep us in the positive territory of bhakti, knowing that the qualities of Krishna are reflected through the devotees' hearts, and that we're engaging with Krishna through the devotees in loving exchanges. And the thoughtfulness with which you shared this principle of being an instrument of Krishna, and so much heart you gave to us, I felt as if it was opening up all the possibilities in the world for us, for this, not just this marathon, but to align ourselves properly in devotional service. I was also thinking that for the most senior devotees in our movement, who are the leaders, spiritual leaders, you are such a spiritual leader, revered all over the world. And for you to give your half hour's time to encourage all of us in the world to continue in a particular track. This is the essence of parampara. I felt in hearing you were talking about the party you were on, and then your realization of how it's perfectly adjusted, the marathons of the past, we learn so much from the enthusiasm, and also in hindsight, we also have some wisdom of how to enact them in ways that are effective in purifying our hearts and pleasing Krishna, the topmost. So it was definitely a generational transmission that you gave here for us, and we'll mark this time as the beginning of the big opening in the surge for us to give our whole hearts. Thank you for the verses that you shared, and just seeing you on site there, chanting the holy names there in Italy, and the fact that you mentioned, oh, I'll pass it on to all the devotees here. We could see the ripple effect already taking place, and we're so grateful that you're walking the planet and that you take time to come and encourage us. Thank you very, very much. And there's a 1-minute video that we're going to show as a break. It's just a summation of this, or it was one thought that I had in time just when I jumped in a car and we filmed this video of this principle that you spoke on most eloquently. And we'll show that as a interim part until we move on to speaking to the rest of the leaders. If you want to stay 60 more seconds and you can tolerate seeing me in a video, then Anukul Save will put it up. My apologies. When Narada Muni met Mugrari, he invited Mugrari to take up devotional service, but he told him he had to break his bow first. So our bow is our doubt. We have to say, Krishna can do anything, Lord Chaitanya can empower me to do anything. Break the bow of doubt, then Krishna will give you all the answers. In assuming that we can do it, we break the bow of doubt. Now you're free to decide, how might we do this? Then you're free to decide to depend completely on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's up to him. He said spread the Sankirtan movement, and now he has to help you. Hare Krishna, go for it. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving the full commentary to the attitude question.
Yes, this is, we are aligned, Vaisheshika. but I heard there is a video from Alaska or Antarctica. Is it coming later or?
Yeah, it's coming later. We have the screenplay. We have the material. We have a trailer for it, and the movie is being put together right now. Okay. And in essence, it's coming to a theater near you, and you'll be the first on our list to receive it when we get it done. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Then
thank you very, very much, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. Then I will run now to the devotees. It's an overcrowded place there, and I will tell them everything is possible. Vaisheshika has said, and I will alert them to this search of the Bhadra campaign. All the best. Thank you. And Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Hare Krishna. Now we have an opportunity to touch base with our leaders around the world, and we're going to start with Divyanand Prabhu in Europe, who's going to give us an update on the pledges and the attitude. We want to know pledges. We want to know what's the attitude there.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. My obeisances to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and my obeisances to everyone on the call, and especially our BBD Central team who's been helping organizing this wonderful, inspiring calls. And yeah, obeisances to Sachinandan Maharaj. So just a very short and a quick update from our side. I mean, the biggest update I'd like to share is that we had the privilege of having you here in Europe over the last 2 weeks with a small interval, which you were still in Europe, in Italy. And there's been a very strong momentum after your visit. Many devotees are coming up and joining the movement, especially the book distribution movement within ISKCON. Many new devotees after the seminars you did, and also the mention about the Bhadra. So we have organized some systematic training programs on presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam here. I have also been coordinating with Trai Prabhu. We have a call next week in order to plan how we can reach out to some of the other European countries together and really look to expand that map across the Europe here, Maharaj. And in terms of the pledges, we have so far received pledges from within UK. We have Manchester, who have pledged 51 sets. We have London Soho, who have pledged 175 sets. We have Reading, who has pledged 10 sets. And then we have Bergen, who's pledged 3 sets. And we are still reaching out to some of the other UK and the European countries. France has pledged 108 sets. Norway has pledged 3 sets. Hungary has pledged 60. We have Bolgana, who has pledged 108 sets. So we are pledges are still coming in, and they are very much based around the 20% increase, which we are looking to have in 2023 compared to the last year, Maharaj. And we also had a very nice European Sankirtan meeting, which was facilitated by yourself and assisted by myself. And that also was very, very helpful. Many devotees are writing in to asking how they can participate in these global campaigns, both Bhadra and the Live to Give, which happens at the later part of the year. So we are really excited about the search and the fact that you are here, and we are still feeling that presence through this strong connection of service, actually. And it was great to see that video. I remember the video of how you shot it in one go, sitting next to me in the car. So thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Divyanam Prabhu. It goes to show the old adage that the best fertilizer is the gardener's shadow. Divyanam Prabhu and Tradas Prabhu working together there are keeping an eye on Europe. It just requires checking in with devotees and seeing how they're doing what they intend to do. That one gesture, leaders, all of you, whether you're checking in with your friends, family, or you're in charge of a particular geographical area and there are leaders there, just checking in and asking how they're doing and how you can help makes all the difference in the world, because where attention goes, energy flows. And that's evident in Europe as we notice the garden there is growing. And another point is that we want more centers involved. The way we can increase and get to our 100,000 is more people involved doing their best. We're depending on everyone just doing a little bit, doing what you can manage. Thank you very much, Divyanam. Now we're swinging wildly all the way from Europe to Africa, as we can do with this mystic power called Zoom. And we have our stalwart, Tirumala Devidasi, who's one of the brains and organizers behind the global campaigns throughout the year. Please go ahead and tell us how you're filling in that whole continent of Africa with little points of light distributing Bhagavatams.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I actually just I put a few slides together. Just trying to share, but I don't seem to be able to.
We'll get you there.
Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so as I said, we just wanted to put a few slides together to collate everybody's input. We tried to start early this year. So in terms of strategy sessions, we had our first one in May, and the leaders collectively came up with a pledge of 393 sets. And Reunion Island is participating for the first time, and they've put in a pledge for 10 Bhagavatam sets. And there are also internal meetings that are taking place within smaller teams within the various countries. And we just wanted to include this to show the growth in Africa's Bhadra campaign since 2020. So although this year's pledge is lower than last year's number, the devotees are very fired up, and there's still time, and there's a lot of potential in Africa as well. So that pledge might increase still. I just wanted to include some of the initiatives that we're working on for this year's campaign. I specifically want to mention the tin can campaign, which is something that we did in South Africa last year. It was just, we placed basically cans where devotees could, make a donation towards a set to the, whatever they could manage. And in the end, we actually managed to get 17 sets sponsored from those tin cans. And of course, payment plans, and the temple in Durban is actually putting together a huge launch program, which will take place next Saturday. And there are also telethons in the pipeline. Just wanted to include some pictures of devotees distributing Bhagavatam sets. And then just an update on the scores. And I just want to emphasize that we don't have, updates from all of the areas. But at the moment, we're sitting at roughly 41 sets, which is about 10% of our current pledge. And Kenya is actually waiting for a large sponsorship of 50 Bhagavatam sets that we're really praying works out. But yeah, that's our update.
The pictures were extremely enlivening, as was your whole presentation. Well organized, and I can tell from the way you spoke about the pledges that you and the other leaders have your finger on the pulse. That's an important aspect of these marathons. Whatever one is doing, it's important to know that there is a particular direction and that devotees are engaged, high, low, medium, whatever it may be. We should know what's happening. And that's something that you've been doing consistently, and making sure that we know what everybody's doing. It's part of giving attention to everybody, is giving attention to the inventory and what the devotees are planning on doing, and helping them to set goals. Because as soon as the devotees make a pledge, then the energy starts to flow. Also, I mentioned that Tirumala Devidasi has been instrumental in putting together the artwork for this campaign. Thank you very much for your innovations. There should be some kind of Academy Awards or something like that for this type of thing. So now we're going to come over to North America. I would like to say that Nandini Kishori works tirelessly. You'll see her here, there, and everywhere around the world, working to spread the Sankirtan movement, one of the great powerhouses. And this year especially, she's leaving no stone unturned in North America. That's a big task because there's so many centers here. She's contacting everyone. Some of them, 1:30 in the morning, she'll call them and say, hey, what are you doing? What's your pledge? And because of that, the pledges are creeping up further than they've ever been before in North America. So we want to acknowledge the tenacity, the great determination of Nandini Kishori. Please tell us what your experience is here in North America, and what it's going to look like for us this year.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhavyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so much for your kind words and blessings, Vaisheshika Prabhu. It's just your can-do attitude that is spreading throughout the planet. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam, the earth planet was in the Garbhodak ocean, and it was uplifted. And I feel the scores, the way they are going. Earlier, the cities used to be so scared to pledge above 100 sets. A continent used to do 100 sets. And now the cities are like, no, we want to do 300. Dallas said, we want to do 300 sets. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yes. 3 leaders explicitly told me our goal is 300. Naperville double their scores from 200 to 400. And that city is on their pulse. They know what they're doing. They know where their target is. They know which way they are going. And all of them, the most glorious on the team on the top is Team ISV, and their goal, your goal is 3,000 sets this year. That's most amazing. And I'm just so grateful to be able to report that. Los Angeles, team led by Swas Prabhu, is at 200. Team Lokadaksha, Sunil Prabhu, the Baltimore team, Gaurapriya Mataji, they are pledging 160 sets. Followed by Alachua this year, the sleeping giant, as you call it. We are pledging 150 sets. And then Team Denver, team led by Nidra Mataji, is at 120. Hillsborough is at 125. It's unstoppable. And they say, Mataji, whenever we look at you, we think about goals. And I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I need. Followed by 3 cities, which are at 108. Laguna Beach, Seattle, and Houston. And then comes Brooklyn team at 101. 101 sets, followed by many cities, other cities. And one of the most important mention is this Team Columbus, 50 sets, right in the sort of center of America, you see. They have already distributed 50 sets. This is not their just pledge. They start at 50 sets. They're already distributed, and they will go only further. And with all of these, we are at 6,010, but watch out because, Atlanta teams haven't reported their scores, and we'll get it as soon as possible. And then we should see that North America number really explode, and a couple of other teams. That's update from my side. And Vaisheshika Prabhu, thank you so much for your inspiration. The attitude is we can do attitude. We can do it slogan. Everybody knows it. Sannyasis are quoting it. The lecturers are quoting it. Bhadra campaign has begun like a wildfire. And this extra Adhik Mas is just going to be like set a new record. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Excellent report, Nandini Kishori. Thank you for your enthusiasm. It's spreading. I can feel it entering every cell of my body, what you're putting out there. That's why we work together as a team. It's amazing what you're doing, and thank you. We also want to mention our leader in the North, just for Canada, Anuttama Prabhu, that is Canadian Anuttama Prabhu, not the GBC from Washington, D.C., is traveling right now, getting out the vote, basically going from center to center. He goes to every place to make sure that he makes personal contact with each one of the leaders. He's taken it as his life and soul to make sure everyone has the facility they need in Canada to distribute to their heart's content to be part of this surge to the 100,000 in 2026. He's a calm, cool, works with a method, and he's very inspiring. So we honor him here on this call. He'll be at all the other subsequent calls that just caught him off guard because he's on the road right now. And now it's my greatest pleasure to come back to ISV for some practical tips coming from Malini Devi Dasi. For those of you who might not know her, she's the Sankirtan leader here at ISV. She's always in the field herself. She leads from the front. I guess that's it's something that inspires all the devotees, and she's got the goods. She knows what's what when it comes to distributing Bhagavatam sets, because she's been in it from the very beginning of the great growth in Bhagavatam sets all over the world. So Malini, please tell us from your Sankirtan headquarters there. It's an underground bunker, actually, from which she organizes, talks to devotees, and goes out in the daytime to drop these spiritual bombs everywhere. Tell us what's happening, how we can employ certain principles and techniques to increase our book distribution.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all Guru Prabhupada. My obeisances to all the devotees on the call. I'm very inspired by the talk by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, especially about the attitude. And I just wanted to share a few things that we discussed in our call. In terms of the attitude, as you mentioned, Prabhu, that we have to create a fresh challenge, and our challenge this time is to distribute at least 3,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, and we are going with the principle that assume it will be done. but we don't know how. We are praying for the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see how we can get it done. And apart from that, we are trying to do a certain things. One is that in terms of making it visible, we wanted to make Bhagavatam visible everywhere. So let me talk from the ground perspective, from the field perspective. We are placing Srimad Bhagavatams at every single table. We have tables at American festivals, at Indian stores, farmers market, whichever spot we go to, we are making sure that the Bhagavatam is visible. And we can't believe, but Bhagavatam sats are being distributed from every single spot. And yesterday we went to an Indian store because door to door is a little slow because it's summer, people are traveling, they're going to beaches, whatever, or maybe they're going to other places to travel. So we went to Indian store yesterday. At one Indian store, we distributed 16 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. I mean, we were like so excited because we wanted to make sure it's visible. And then by Krishna's mercy, somehow we were able to do it. And the other thing that we are working on is the pipelines. Last year, we've established pipelines around the world that we are sending Srimad Bhagavatam sets because devotees want to sponsor to some countries where they're attached to, like India, Africa, Latin America, and South America also. South Africa. So this year we are still trying to flush all those pipelines, make sure everything is ready, so that when devotees are ready to sponsor sets of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have everything available. So these are the few things we are doing, Prabhu, and we'll have a brainstorming session coming up next week for within the devotees in ISV to brainstorm more and more ideas. And as and when we come up, we will try to share with this group. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Well, you gave the principles that are assuredly the steps to success in this. And I'll just reiterate briefly that if you put sets of Bhagavatams out when you're giving a lecture, if you put them out when there's a Sunday program, if you put them out when you're showing anything, add Bhagavatams and make them visible, people will take them. 16 yesterday went from one table, and they're going out to the most unlikely people. And why? Because they're visible. And the other principle that you brought up is to connect to the pipeline. What I'm hearing around the world, sometimes people say, well, last year, our devotees in our congregation took Bhagavatam sets with the intention of distributing them, but maybe they didn't do it. They just purchased them. It's like Amway, you front end load and put all the product in your garage and think you're making money, right? So no, they have to go out immediately. We can't get stagnated like that. So be aware that there are pipelines. And what we mean by that is we've made contractual agreements around the world, and we're increasing that. We have a legal pipeline to India so that you can put sets of books in villages, which are being actually overrun by various ideologies, and it's changing the face of India. And this is a nerve point where people will want to give sets to go to India. We also have for Latin America, where people don't have much money, and you can't believe the tears that come to their eyes when they receive a Bhagavatam set bequeathed to them from those from more affluent areas in the world. It's amazing. Now we have it in Africa, we have it in Japan, we have various places around the world where you can put your hard-earned dollars into the yagya tube, and it goes out in the form of Bhagavatams to various places around the world. Make sure you're connected to a pipeline. Don't let books sit in somebody's garage. Let them go out immediately, and things will move fast. Now it's my greatest pleasure to introduce the champions of the world, represented by Praneshwar Prabhu from the Indian continent. They're always busy distributing books and contemplating how to do it even better. And they have the lion's share of the distribution all over the world. Praneshwar Prabhu is one of the great leaders of India who's always thinking about how to increase book distribution, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada's with his mood of keeping the book distribution as the tip of the spear of the Sankirtan movement. And it's my great honor to introduce this great leader and my dear friend Praneshwar Prabhu, who's helping to push book distribution to higher and higher limits in India. Prabhu, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining, even though it's late in the evening there. Hare Krishna.
Extremely sorry for being late, Prabhuji. It actually, today's Sunday here, and the Sunday program was there. It slipped out of my mind actually. Right,
No
so
problem. We know you're always fully engaged, and we just feel lucky to have you for a few minutes. Go ahead, Prabhu.
yes, yes. My humble obeisance to you, Prabhuji, and my humble obeisance to all other Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. And all glory to Srila Prabhupada, all glory to Srila Prabhupada's book distribution. So just a brief update I can give is that the Bhadra Marathon has started in India, and we recently had a ICC meeting, the Indian Continental Committee meeting here in Jagannath Puri, and we used that occasion to take pledges both for Bhadra Purnima, and also we are also doing a campaign, a book distribution campaign for Srila Prabhupada's biography book. This is just one book, one volume book, condensed version of the Leelamrita. Right. So we took pledges for both actually, and maybe I can just give an update about so around 83 temples as of now. They have pledged for both Bhadra Purnima and the biography book. And as of now, we have just crossed pledges just 10,000 Bhagavatam sets. Right, but major temples have not pledged yet, and they are still in the process of calculating. Right, I mean there'll be huge figures. Some temples will come out with huge figures. For example, Mayapur has not yet pledged. We are just about to take their pledges. So we are just hopeful that hopeful. I'm very much hopeful that we will. Like last year, we will contribute nicely to the global target, and right in this way, we'll serve the global campaign for Bhadra Purnima. Right, so we just wish all the blessings of all the devotees, and especially His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Praneshwar Prabhu, for the report. For all of you, the Indian subcontinent is huge. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of temples. There's still like total, usually 125 pledged. So you can know, as Prabhu said, that there's many more to come there.
Right.
And it also takes a while for everyone to get in their pledges over there. So we always wait on the edge of our seats. In fact, I'm moving to the edge of my seat right now. And I'll be sitting here waiting to hear the rest of the pledges coming from India, because as India goes, that's how we are situated for hitting our pledge, because as I said, they're the lion's share. And they're also empowered by the leadership there. The leaders in India at the top level are all encouraging and pushing book distribution to the millions of devotees who are there. So thank you very much, Prabhu. We're very eager to be in touch with you at this time and to take inspiration and to walk together towards our goal of 55,000 worldwide this year. Hare Krishna. All glories to the devotees there. Gaur Premanande. Now to close the call, I'm going to name a couple of principles. When brainstorming here locally here at ISV, just the other day, we had a Sankirtan meeting with our top Sankirtan leaders, and we discussed how to go about reaching a goal that seems out of reach. And the strategy that we use here is to start with principles. Don't go to details, start with principles as your foundation. And here are a few of the principles that we laid down and then extrapolated from that, the various details of the way that we're going to create our strategy to beat the 3,000, smash the 3,000 mark this year. So the first one is visibility. Visibility is the key because, as you know, one of the laws of book distribution is the more you show, the more you sell. If you just do this one thing, make sure you're showing Bhagavatam, pictures of it, talk about it in the temple, Bring it up always and repeatedly. And also bring Bhagavatam sets with you wherever you go and just set them up. It's a sacred duty wherever you are. If you go to visit your family somewhere for sit down and have a sandwich with your mom, put the Bhagavatam set out. If you're going to go to a PTA meeting to talk to your teachers, put a Bhagavatam set on the table. Put it out there. That's why it's here. It's got a physical form. It's a deity. You have to show it. So the next principle is to organize. And two of the main principles of organization are brainstorming and goal setting. Now, when you brainstorm with devotees, you gather the energy and you take advantage of people's ideas. Let everyone give their ideas because they're all empowered souls. The super soul is sitting in their hearts. Take all the ideas and then prioritize the ones that you think will be the 20% that'll get the 80% result. Keep the other ones also on store, but prioritize the ones that you can do right away. And set goals. As soon as you write a goal down on paper, it's starting to manifest because everything comes from the subtle level and manifests on the gross level. Pen on paper, ink on paper, that's a grossified form of our desire that we want to distribute 3,000. Now we write it down and we sign it and we say, I'm good for this. We're going to make this happen. That's when Lord Chaitanya takes notice and says, I'm going to back you up. Next is attitude, and we heard all about that today. Be an instrument and assume it can be done. Break the bow of excuses and doubts. Don't do that. Break it and say it can be done. The next is training. You have to train devotees how to do this. Find who's doing it well and bring them as a guest speaker. If somebody's starting Kumbh Mela, please mute. Then show them what are the techniques, how you're going to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, and how to make it visible. You have to show that repeatedly to your congregation and to whatever people you have. And finally, innovate. Our program for innovation is that we do core and explore. Core is 80%, you know what works already and just do it. Take 20% of the time to try new methods, things you thought of, but you never tried because you thought, well, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. Just gamble with that 20% and try new things that may seem outrageous or that you have to pay for or whatever it happens to be, try that. And put the armed up, ARMD, that will be my last point. Analyze what you're doing. This goes in the order of AMRD, armed. So analyze. Take a look at last year's and the year before scores. There's so much power in statistical analysis. Don't just let it be an amorphous idea that we did something last year, maybe we'll do something this year. That's not going to get it done. You have to look at the scores, face up to exactly what you've done, see what's in the inventory, what happened last year. Look at the numbers, sharpen your pencil and write it down. It'll give great inspiration. And then we have reflect, and that's part of reflecting. What worked well and where were there obstacles and how to overcome them. Then make a declaration. When you declare, as I already said, this is what we're going to do, that's when your community gets in the flow of the internal energy that, wow, this is a mission. We're going to do something now. And all success comes from mission-driven management. First comes preaching, then comes management. If you do it the other way around, you end up in a quagmire. So analyze, reflect, meet, and declare. As Sachinandan Swami Maharaj would say, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining this historic call. We are engaged, somehow we took birth as humans, somehow we landed in the Kali Yuga, came out in some hospital somewhere and they said, hey, welcome to the Kali Yuga. And then by the greatest fortune possible, we met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda through their representatives. And somehow or other, we're the ones on this Zoom call, we're the ones rising to the call of action, saying, if it's to be done, it's up to us as our team. and the team is growing all over the world. Let's smash Kali Yuga. Let's do huge with Bhagavatam sets and leave our mark on the world. Gideon's Bible people, they're wiping us off the face of the map. They're doing 50 times more than we are. Let's rise and let's get the Bhagavatam into every institution, every home of every respectable person in the world, and even some non-respectable people. And we'll pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Shri Shri Panchatattva. If you so desire, please inspire us to plunder the storehouse of love of God and taste and distribute its contents and distribute them all over the world. Please send us unlimited resources and inspiration to do so. Om Tat Sat. One other last point, and that is that this year, part of our goal is to get the 34. Everyone say, get the 34. That means you have to memorize the 34 verses in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam called Divinity and Divine Service. Remember, assume it can be done. You're a human, you have ears, you have eyes and a tongue. Just listen to it. We're going to send PDF out in the next couple of days, so you'll have it on stock, and just inspire everyone in your congregation and inspire yourself and your family. Get the 34 verses. We're going to give awards to those who memorize the whole thing, and a special mention and awards for those who can do it forwards and backwards. So please study hard, okay? I made a prayer. Everyone who agrees with the prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Hare Krishna.
Kalpa
Hare
Vrisha,
Krishna.
Kripa Sindhavija, Patitanam Bhavanibhyo,
Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.